Secular Ethics by Brian Henley, Samuel Brooke, and Brian Courtney.
Whereas there is no set definition of what one person discerns as secular ethics from the other, we chose to take the quote from our reading of Beyond Religion to define it. The quote says, "The exclusion of religion from ethical systems, or even from all areas of life." We thought this quote was a perfect definition of secular ethics, and it was said by the Dalai Lama himself.
Most people view religion and ethics together. However, His Holiness the Dalai Lama chose to take a different approach and deliberately separate the two. However, this causes a societal interpretations that make the separation between one's God and one's ethics more complicatedly said than done. For example, many people attribute the good things they do to Christ, the Bible, or any other spiritual being they believe in. However, His Holiness instead says that the ethics is the basis of all good deeds in all religions, and that it stands as a commonality between all religions. After looking around, we noticed some possible positive effects that include secular ethics. While there's many small ones, we'd already just touch on the two largest ones, which would be a more peaceful world for everyone to reside in, and hopefully cessation of wars between religions. Because as aforementioned, all religions really boil down to peacefulness and ethics, despite the differences otherwise. We chose this slide to explain the indulgence we're about to go into in the next slides, expecting our personal effects in our lives of learning more about secular ethics. So, as a group, we all stem from different walks as of lives, clearly, with different ideas on religion. However, we all share the commonality that the idea of religion for people has always been what we were taught in our upbringing. Essentially, before we even knew what we were being taught that we were the same. However, the prominence of secular ethics never truly became present to us, but consciously we thought about it while learning in this class. This alert that we brought to us about secular ethics not only altered how we view the world around us, but how we acted and adapted to our awareness. So, like I said, we're going to take these next few slides to explain how individually it affected us in a reflection kind of form.
I grew up as a Catholic, so I was taught to abide by the 10 Holy Commandments. While some of these commandments are strictly religious, there are several that are based on this idea of secular ethics. 6 of these commandments that are particularly secular are: honor your father and mother, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, and you shall not covet your neighbor's house, wife, or property. These principles have no connection to religion, yet I always followed them only because I thought they were religious. Realistically, without even knowing, I was following the idea of secular ethics my whole life. Whenever anyone talks about morals, they're talking about secular ethics. In my own life, as a kid, my mom taught me what she called the golden rule. This rule stated, treat others the way you want to be treated. This rule is in line with the Buddhist idea of karma. It is also a completely secular way of teaching morals and compassion. Whenever I would mistreat another person, or even mistreat an animal as small as an ant, my mother would without a doubt remind me of the golden rule or tell me, imagine if you were the size of an ant, and an ant was the size of you, and it crushed you. Reflecting on these moments, I realized after reading the chapters on secular ethics that my mom was instilling within me these ideals of secular ethics. I see it every day. Anytime I see a child get punished for misbehaving or rewarded for a good deed, the parent is either knowingly or unknowingly promoting secular ethics. On a global level, secular ethics is crazily enough what unites all of us. There's a language barrier and a religious barrier that would otherwise, and sometimes does, divide countries. What unites us all on this planet is we, as humans, all have a moral compass that is arguably innate. Although some have to be taught, some morals are already instilled in us when we're born. I love to think that ethically, almost all humans are connected, and if everyone realizes this, then there'd be no more killing and no more wars.
After conversating as a group when we initially met, we realized, other than Brian Courtney, that me and Sam had sort of the same rearing and the background kind of view. So to avoid too many similarities, we just acknowledged that we might have a lot of the same similarities when going through our project. This is going to be my view, Brian Kenley, of a non-religious view of secular ethics. So after learning about secular ethics in class, the most prominent aspects that came to mind were: 1, Doing good things personally not only are good for the other person, but make me feel good. So I feel as if, upon reflection, this is one of the greatest perks of secular ethics. Essentially, everyone wins. And two, it's not really that hard, as I probably believe to be a good person and push to be more ethical. I always saw it as like going above and beyond and being somewhat altruistic, but in reality, it's just doing the small things. And now, after reflection upon this in the class, I realized that.
As Brian said, I also grew up in a not religious family. And through the class, I figured out that most of the things that they're taught through religion and various religions are the same as I was taught growing up. It's about the basic moral values of life and how, at the end of the day, everyone has the same ethics through that you're just taught growing up. It's just to be a good person and to do good things for other people.
This slide is about how secular ethics relates on a larger scale. As aforementioned, many wars are waged over things such as religion. After learning about secular ethics in class and taking a wider look at the world around us, we believe that secular ethics could be the answer to solving many of these wars. Even though this is easier said than done, we feel as though not only is it a plausible option, but the best option.
So to summarize, closing, we realize many things along this process, or this trip of looking at this project about secular ethics. Not only were our similarities shown, more so our differences. More prominent than that, we realized how little our differences actually mean in light of secular ethics. Different backgrounds all converge under the same umbrella of always attempting to do the right thing, just because it is the right thing, regardless of religion or the lack thereof.
Thank you so much for listening to and hopefully enjoying our project. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it.